Oh yes, my fellow hunters, we know there are monsters of all shapes and sizes, from the weird to the absolute badass. But I want to emphasize today, well, that sizes part of shapes and sizes, because I was very much curious what actually is the definitively 10 largest monsters. So I thought it'd be fun to, well, go down that very list, have a little look-see, have a little talk, and have some fun. Now, look, there's no prizes for guessing who's going to come up first here. Here's a little hint. But everything else I think is quite fascinating. Let's begin at number 10, and this one might be a little bit contentious because there's two very, very large monsters that don't have, well, official sizes, but they're clearly very huge. Nakarkos is one of them. When he is, well, as above ground as he can be, there's a lot of him going on there. It's more bulky than pure length, but then you have all the tentacles writhing. You don't know how much of him is under the ground, and then, well, in the deep sea where they normally live, they can grow absolutely colossal. It would be unfair not to at least mention him, but, well, it's hard to get your tape measure out and get a good reading in a death cave surrounded by slimy, sticky death bones. The other one, hello, is good old Ahtal Ka. No, not the tiny little mantis, but the Ahtal Nesto, the mech form, the absolute badassery that is clearly huge. But yes, you could argue that's not literally the monster, but we also don't know how, well, literally big it is, only that it would make for some badass fights. Oh, I need that turf war in my life. I would sell my firstborn child for it. And all children after that, actually, honestly, could make a good profit. Either way, next up then, let's start this list proper, and you can choose where those two go. You can size them up, well, with your eyeballs and think where you'd fit them in, but we don't have official numbers. And I do apologize if this is maybe missing some or out of order. I believe it's correct, but, you know, I'm only human. Number 9 is Kulve Taroth, 45.8 meters long. This one kind of surprised me, because yes, she's quite the big monster, of course, but, you know, you think of the huge fights, you know, your siege fights, and, well, I don't think Kulve really, at least on the surface, appears to stand up to them, but no, she is really quite huge. I mean, we are starting off here at already highly outlengthing a blue whale, which is obviously the largest thing to ever existed that we know of. So this is quite impressive. The Queen of the Caverns of El Dorado is certainly got that bulk to throw around, and I guess when you have, you know, a solid metal gold mantle, that really does kind of help, because it does trail behind her quite a lot, which probably adds a lot of artificial length. So yeah, that's very nice to see, and it just reaffirms how purely valuable it is. Over to number 8 then, and this is only a little bit bigger at 48 meters. Safi'jiiva, yes indeed, Zeno would have been just a little bit smaller than Kulve, but all grown up. Our alien baby friend is, well, quite sizable, and again, visually doesn't look that huge. Yeah, of course, it's a big monster, but I was still quite surprised here. Good old the Red Dragon himself, maybe the first of his kind, maybe not, we'll see if that develops. I do kinda hope for a Red Dragon, Black Dragon rivalry. I feel like it would be a lot of fun, but yeah, him indeed is 48 meters long, which is just ridiculous. Like, that is, I mean, I'd just be exhausted walking head to tail of him. I can barely get up the stairs before I should move on with this sentence. Number 7 then, the best, our Lord, our God Savior above, Mazzio, the largest flying monster and the 7th largest monster at 49 meters long, just shy of breaking that big 50-meter barrier. And well, what can you say about him except how deliciously sexy he is? I mean, being able to claim largest flying monster is always phenomenal, and really the sight of him in the air is just breathtaking. And, you know, completely and utterly terrifying because you're being absolutely showered and coated in disintegrating, explosively hot tar. But, you know, mostly breathtaking, so praise be to you, my second favourite monster. Good on you, good showing, and no, he's not totally the reason why I decided to extend this from a top 5 to a top 10 just so I could include him and talk about him. Moving on as we go under the sea, under the sea. Hunters, it's better down where it's wetter, take it from me. We have Gooddas here right now, 58 meters, holy cow. Okay, look, seriously, he's a fucking whale. He is, well, gigantic at 58.3 meters long. And that is bloody impressive. And you can see it when you're swimming alongside him, and really it takes quite the effort to get to his head. And of course, well, when you have one of the mightiest themes in all of Monster Hunter, I should just let the song do it. I realize you have to have the stature to merit it, and oh, does our whaley friend have it. Him and his mighty beam, him and his mighty headbutts and mighty horn. And talking of mighty, to move on to number 5, we have Black Dragon territory, the largest of the Black Dragons. Dire Moralis himself at 63 meters long. That is insanity. That is ridiculously sizable. That is just bonkers. But, well, this guy boils an ocean by existing in it, turning it red from all the blood of everything that died screaming. So I guess, you know, again, you have to have the stature to merit that kind of achievement. I don't know if it's achievement. To be fair, I don't know if anyone's there like, hey, you, Dire Moralis, gold star on your mass murder of an entire ecosystem. Yeah! But at the same time, I mean, it's Black Dragon. It is that level of power, that level of deadliness, that walking apocalypse, and, well, him and his magma cannons instead of wings do stretch to quite the length. I mean, he has to, because he wades through the ocean standing on the, well, the ocean floor, so he has to be able to actually get his head above the waves, and certainly that he does. So yeah, our good old friend Dire Moralis. Then we get a little bit more on the predictable side of things. Perhaps sadly, Lao Shanlong, our runner from Fatalis, our, well, goddamn first ever big, large siege fight, and probably, sadly, one of the most boring fights to just happen, but certainly not a goddamn Grandpa Rathalos, Cotton!
You don't know that!
And that aside, look, for his time, for it starting, he really, really was impressive. Like, back then, in OG Monster Hunter, to see him looming out of the mist, out of the fog, well, it was breathtaking. The idea of how do we kill something that big? It was an experience like never before. I certainly didn't think there would be a colossal creature to kill after everything the game's thrown at me so far, and, well, he certainly was colossal, and I definitely will always respect him. He started a trend that I'm glad they have continued and refined, and ended up with such magnificent siege fights later down the line. Then we break the big barrier, because he was 70 meters, which is, again, absolutely silly. But beyond that, we break that 100-meter barrier. Adaran Moran. Now, technically, if I was going to be very, very well pedantic, we'd have both Gen Moran and Adaran Moran on this list, but they're essentially the same monster as their subspecies, so I just chose the biggest of them all, which is, well, the Adaran Morans. And they are 114 meters long, carving through sand with their absolutely fuck-off horn that splinters ships like a hot knife through butter. They are monstrous, they are vicious, they attack anything that dares to swim in their territory, and their territory, you know, is, I don't know, a whole goddamn desert, which is pretty big. He is literally the huge mountain dragon. You can't go around having a title like, yes, it's me, the huge mountain dragon, without being, well, huge as a mountain. And while, you know, maybe not full-on mountain, 114 meters is still damn impressive, from tip of horn to tip of tail. He is a fearsome predator, and honestly, a fight like this is something I would love to see realized in World/Iceborne/ the future of Monster Hunter, because it would be so magnificent to give it that sprucing up, that transformation, because it already was a really neat fight, being on that ship, having it alongside you, wrangling this sand whale, jumping on its back, mining, bombing, firing the cannons, dragonating at the front, the final showdown when you finally force it into a corner and beach it on the dunes. It really is one of the more unique, powerful experiences among the large monster gimmick fights, and it's one that every time I go back and think about it, honestly, I remember more and more fondly. I really think it is underappreciated and one of the best they've ever done. Then we get to the top two, which you, again, probably can guess. Number 2, Zhora Magnaros. 256 meters! Oh! From the top of his head to the tips of his tippy toes, he really is a moving mountain, and there is no denying the colossalness of this old man, who, well, basically did nothing but kind of walk slowly towards a place and then swam out to sea and kind of died. But, you know, he's definitely cool in theory. I love the idea of him being so big. His back is basically a zone. The scorching mountain dragon. He has the title to merit him too, but he's just too big to be threatening. He doesn't have that kind of personal, like, oh, he's more of just a runaround, an event, and I wanted his back to be so much more. If his back was an entire ecosystem, I think that would have been incredible. They spent a year on just him. Imagine if his back was a zone. Imagine if you had, an investigation for Nergigante in Zhora Magnaros shell, or an investigation for a Yangaruga in Zhora Magnaros shell. You know, the part with trees growing out of it for some reason. Well, maybe not trees, because obviously it's lava, but you could have a kind of arid wasteland type environment literally situated on his back. So you never really fight Zhora himself, but you have a living monster that's a moving, living environment, like a, well, turtle land island thing that you get a lot of time in fantasy tropes. That would be really, really cool to see, and hopefully one day we do get whatever materialized from his huge burst of energy when he finally died. All that bioenergy, I still really kind of want an island to have sprung out from somewhere. And the thing is, this is contentious, because lengthwise, yes, he's shorter than number 1, but there's no doubt in just raw bulk, in mass, in, well, chunkiness, Zhora has to reign supreme. But how can you compete in size when it's measured by length in Monster Hunter when Dalamadur exists at a colossal 440 meters. Now, I won't get too deep into how the skeletons in the Vale project Dalamadur to growing to miles long at the end of their life cycle, because even at 440 meters, well, the Serpent King Dragon is definitely a impressive sight to behold, summoning purpley blue fire meteors, a scorching breath that nearly rivals Fatalis himself. He carves mountains with his movement and absolutely dominates all. I would argue he is definitively the most powerful monster if you eliminate the black dragons, and even then, I really do have a sneaking suspicion that no black dragon is going to have a fun time being kind of eaten in one gulp by a Dalamadur, though likely given how otherworldly resilient are, they'd probably just blast their way out, which wouldn't be too good for the Dalamadur, but he could certainly fight them. If I had to choose any monster to give Elatrion Fatalis a run for their money, I would throw a Dalamadur into the ring. There's no two ways about it. Running up his snaky body to his head, actually trying to survive when all the terrain is just so weird and you fall off into this little pool strip of water constantly, and it's just, it's so frustrating. It could have been a slightly better designed map, and it did get boring on repeat, well, attempts, because he kind of got past the gimmick, but still, that's the thing with these fights. There you have it. Dalamadur, perhaps expectedly, the largest monster. So, I hope you enjoyed that. It was a fun little romp for me to have a quick peek at them all. And yes, there's something like Shen-Garen, but again, no real size, at least that I could see, and it's really only when he's standing on his tippy-tippy toes, so I kind of eliminated him, so sorry, Shen.
Okay, that's fine. No one cares about the crabs anyway.
Hey, that's not true. After insects, crabs are the thing I want most added to the game, so there you have it. Alright everybody, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Were there any surprises for you? Let me know. But for now, I'll see you all very, very soon. A good boy.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.